Talk some smack about consoles. You boys ready for the console wars?
The war to end all wars.
The war to end. Perfect. Let's play the advertisement. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io? Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. Who's going to win the console war? People might be like, who cares? Well, it actually matters for creators and live streamers because you don't want to be on the console that has way less users when you're trying to play with your viewers, when you're trying to play popular exclusives, and when you're trying to queue up for matches and that queue time's like 5 minutes, that'll kill your live stream and it'll eat up a bunch of your time when you're trying to make content about games. You probably want to go with the most popular console, so which one's going to win? Well, we obviously know. I'm joined by Andrew Perrin and Ross Dillon. Today's digital drop is who is going to win the console wars. Let me just pull up the screen right now. We've got the latest news. We were waiting for Xbox to do that game showcase and to show us the big gameplay, the big games that were going to compete with PlayStation 5 and that we're going to make them the leader in this next generation because they got absolutely destroyed this round. Ross, did Halo Infinite sell it? Is this going to sell Xbox Series X like hotcakes?
Well, I think it depends on what you mean by hotcakes. I think it's 100% going to sell. It's going to have good numbers. Based on what I saw, the reactions to Halo Infinite were very mixed. I didn't see a lot of middle ground there, but it's such a popular title and they're adding so many new elements like open world. The campaign's supposed to be just absolutely massive. They're trying to go back to their roots with multiplayer. I think it's going to be enough to escalate and make I think it's going to do good in the sales. But if we're talking about comparing it to PlayStation 5, I think it's going to be a very similar case to what we saw from this previous gen. And I think PlayStation 5 will probably destroy it if we're just comparing the numbers there.
Why is PlayStation 5 going to destroy it? Why do you think that right now? Why do you think they're going to keep just exclusives? Huh? You think they're exclusives
alone? If we take everything out of it, if we take the fact that over 100 million people bought the PlayStation 4, people become, and I'm like this too. I'm not even a PlayStation gamer. I have an Xbox. I'm more prone to be wanting to get the next gen Xbox because that's what I'm familiar with. Just because more people have been playing the PlayStation 4, I think the thoughts are going to be very similar to, hey, this is what I'm used to. Let's compare and look at the exclusive games that are coming out. I mean, it's not even comparable, honestly. It's really just not even comparable how much better the PlayStation exclusives are. And I'm not trying to knock the Xbox exclusives because they have a few good ones. But, I mean, you're going up against a massive lineup of stellar exclusives, and you're still going to be able to get the same AAA games on there that you would on the Xbox. Now, I think one of the biggest factors that we still don't know is going to be price. I think at the end of the day, people will pay what they want to get what they want. But just given the current state of the economy, I think it's something that we do have to consider a little bit.
Comment in live chat on YouTube from Afro says, what's up with those Xbox 360 graphics yesterday? Ha ha. This is a live show. We're live on Twitch, D Live, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Thank you for that. Perrin, were you impressed? I mean, we're showing some gameplay on the screen right now from Halo Infinite, the gameplay reveal here from the campaign, and we're reacting to it. Were you impressed by the next gen-ness of this reveal, as well as maybe some of the other games they showcased yesterday in the Xbox showcase?
Let's say, was I impressed? It left an impression, but not the kind that I think that they intended. When I first saw this, and I used to be a huge Halo fan, it used to be like my main game that I would play every single day. And keywords used to be, it's been many years since I've been a Halo fan. If there was ever going to be a game that was going to draw me back, it was going to be this one. And as soon as it opened up and it showed me this world that's supposed to be next generation to show off what the Xbox Series X can do. I just came from watching Ghost of Tsushima, in the current generation, and it far exceeds what this is. And I understand maybe it's still early in their development, but doesn't really matter in this case. It doesn't really matter where they are in their development in this case, because this was supposed to wow and impress all of us. And I just really felt like it was lackluster in comparison. I felt like they were moving around and trying to show off all this amazing stuff and how gorgeous everything looks in the game. And it's nothing special. It's nothing unique. It does not look that much better than the original Halo. Honestly, at least in my mind, and maybe I have a rose-colored tinted glasses with my memory, probably do, but I was expecting something more. The hype built up something more, and they definitely let us all down. I don't know really where they can go from here with this, but clearly this wasn't what we were expecting or hoping for.
I tweeted about it, and my reaction immediately afterwards, I just wanted to keep it real on Twitter. I said that Halo Infinite just looks like a shittier version of Destiny 2. It looks like, maybe an early pre-alpha version of Destiny 2 before the end, without any style, without any interest of any description, without any intrigue. It looks super flat. The graphics look like they'd be okay on the current gen, and the textures had trouble loading. The gameplay looks super generic. There's nothing interesting happening here that we haven't already seen a million times. I mean, this was supposed to be their big moment to reveal the new Halo game, and this just looks like, a current gen Halo game that looks like it'll be, a 6.5 out of 10. I mean, where was the next gen? Where was anything super interesting? And people are like, well, you've got to give them time to finish the development and to finish the polish. No. Stop saying that, gamers. Are you kidding me? When you're a few months out from the release of a game, that is exactly what you're going to get when the game releases. Companies can barely do any polish in a couple months. Like, they can squash some bugs. They can do a few things here and there, but 3 months is nothing for polish. You need a year or two to polish a game, like at least a full year to polish a game. And so you can tell by a couple different things that happened here how bad Xbox knows this game is. Are you ready?
Let's hear this.
Why didn't they show any gameplay for Halo until just a couple months before the game is released? Because the game is bad. If this game was really good and was in great shape earlier this year, they would have been, or earlier last year, or even the year before, they would have been showing gameplay teasers. They would have been showing trailers. They would have started rolling out the marketing for this game really early, 2 years out at minimum, and started actually showing what the game is. That's what you do with mega ultra console selling titles like this, is you start rolling them out way ahead of time because they look so darn good. Take Cyberpunk 2077 as an example. Why did they show gameplay of that game so early? Because it was phenomenal gameplay. And they knew if they showed the public this gameplay, the reaction would be out of this world, which it was. They didn't show Halo Infinite early because it doesn't look impressive, because it doesn't look like a good game. And so they're going to just show us little choice bits here and there right now where they can avoid the bad bugs and the texture issues, and they can kind of work on that Halo nostalgia and market it. You can show how restrained their marketing is right now for the game because the game is bad and they know it.
It's not meant, and I don't think it was ever meant. It's clear that it was never meant to actually be something revolutionary. They weren't working on something revolutionary. All it is, it's a simple nostalgic cash grab, as all of these almost always are. Like, at this point with Halo, we've been through so many Halos, and I'm sure there's plenty of Halo fans still out there. But at this point, they're just trying to get more money out of you, and they're milking this franchise that was once amazing for all that it's worth. And this just rings so clearly as a nostalgic cash grab by a corporation again, yet again. And frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of them thinking that they can just put out a trash game as something revolutionary because we have rose-tinted colored goggles on because we love the franchise that they originally built. But really, they're just shitting on it over and over and over again while they milk it and get more of our money. No, thank you.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here. Well, first of all, number one, I'm not saying you guys are wrong at all. I'm just going to come out and say, I don't know, because they've been working on this game for how many years now. And I'd hate to think that we're just going to prematurely judge this based on 8 minutes of footage from a game that's going to be absolutely massive. I think that's one thing to take into consideration. Another thing to take into consideration is, yes, they should have been releasing more information about this much earlier on. We don't know how much the COVID-19 situation could have postponed that. I mean, there were a lot of games that PlayStation did too. I think this is a good point to make for both of these consoles. There was a lot of games for PlayStation that are going to be releasing in the next 6 months that we didn't see until 6 months out. You know, it's not too far out of the context of what we're looking at here. So I think that, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to go out of full screen here for a second because I got to bring something else up. Okay. So the problem that I really have with these showcases, and this goes to both PlayStation and Xbox, is we've known for a long time. Gamers are now used to this, about seeing these cinematic trailers and then the gameplay is just absolute horseshit. Let's look at No Man's Sky, what that launch was like. Now, not necessarily the graphics and stuff, and then let's go look at Anthem. Those are just two examples. And I know I'm using Xbox right now as an example, but PlayStation did the same exact thing. Okay, so let's just look at this lineup that they came out with yesterday. Halo Infinite, we got 8 minutes of gameplay. State of Decay 3, no gameplay. Forza, no gameplay. Everwild, no gameplay. Avowed, no gameplay. I can just keep going down the list because it's every game that they showed. Gamers are tired of this because gamers understand that the actual product you're going to get may be completely different from what we've seen in the cinematics. Now, I think there's an argument to be made that we could be seeing the same situation, just kind of from an opposite point of view from Halo Infinite. Just because it looks like garbage now doesn't mean it's going to be released and be absolute garbage. Not looking great, I admit that, but I think we got to give it a fair shot.
I am giving it a fair shot. They showed 8 minutes of the actual product, and it looked thoroughly average. And so thoroughly average in this case, like the bar for what this game needs to be, Halo Infinite, is up here. It needs to be a 9 out of 10 game to sell this console. It looks like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 game. It's just way below par. And that's what they chose to show us as the big wow moment. Every Halo fan and every Xbox fan was waiting for this one piece of content to inspire them to go purchase an Xbox. This is the thing that was supposed to sell us. And so you have to think, all these marketing people and all these people that have worked on Halo Infinite, they're thinking, what is the most impressive thing about our game that we can show right out the gate that's going to sell this game? And that was it. Why would they show the least impressive thing? Why would they show something that is somewhere in the middle in terms of being impressive? That was literally the most impressive thing that they could show us right out the gate. Done.
It's like I was more impressed by Grounded, which is like also going to be on Steam, so I don't need to go get an Xbox for it. And I was my curiosity was piqued by Avowed, but again, there was like a cinematic reveal, so it's not really a whole lot you can tell by it. But Obsidian, I think if there was a positive thing coming out of this, is Obsidian coming in, and the way that Obsidian did their marketing with they clearly understand gamers a little bit better and showed that with their marketing. I think everyone, if there's anything that anybody was impressed by, was Obsidian's marketing and what they dropped in terms of what they're working on. You know, Grounded and Avowed both being really, really, I think, stealing the show, basically. So while there was not a lot of interesting things, I do think there was some promise by a single developer who has been in the game for a long time and maybe has been kind of a sleeping giant, and maybe they're going to make a comeback here. That's exciting to me. But you know what's going on with Halo? Like that was not the highlight for me. In fact, that was the low point of the whole presentation. And I think it's probably the most talked about part. But yeah, I mean, you got to keep in mind, guys, like if these are all reasons to buy Xbox, a lot of the titles they've shown are not exclusive, actually, right? Like a lot of them are going to be available on Steam, and almost, or if not all of them are also available on PC, because that's how Microsoft games work. So like, what is still the reason to get an Xbox over a PS4 when if you're a PC gamer, you already have access to like everything? So I would probably never get an Xbox personally.
Yeah, so let's talk about the reasons why you would purchase it or not. So one thing that's a big selling point, and there's the Avowed gameplay in the background there that you were talking about. One big selling point for the Xbox is that it's significantly more powerful on paper in terms of the specs of the system in almost every regard. And so, arguably, it's got more teraflops. That's the number that matters the most, right? So you could make an argument that it potentially could have way better graphics or somewhat better performance for these games that are coming out in the future, where you're looking at a generation where 4K 60 FPS is now going to be the standard. And perhaps it could run games smoother or have more features or have better ray tracing or have various other significant gameplay advantages like that. And so that, to me, was, in order for people to believe that your console can do that, you can't just say your console's more powerful. You have to show it being more powerful by actually showing a game that looks phenomenal running on your system. And that selling point of power with the system doesn't work unless you can see the power. You know what I mean? And in this showcase, they didn't show us the power. And so that selling point, I think, fell way flat in this Xbox showcase. I mean, my guess is that they have some PR planned where they're going to, do tech demo stuff later, and they're going to show ray tracing on the system, and they're going to show load times side by side with, games and how much better their SSD is and things of that description. But at the end of the day, does any of this look next gen? I didn't see anything.
I think the argument could be made for both. I think I didn't see anything in the PlayStation showcase that looked like next gen either.
You're right, but PlayStation's selling point isn't that it's more powerful.
No, you're right.
Xbox has to catch up to PlayStation. Xbox has to do things that better than PlayStation. And right now, PS5's game lineup is way better. PS5 doesn't have to sell its console based on it being more powerful because it's not. And they're already on top. So basically, Xbox has nothing to sell their console. It's not more powerful, or it doesn't look, if they say it's more powerful, but it certainly doesn't look that way. Their game lineup is much weaker. So what you mentioned earlier, the only thing they can do to maybe try to stay in the game is to sell their console at significantly lower prices. Right?
Yeah, that's going to be I still think that's going to be one of the biggest selling points, is going to be what the prices are. I don't even know. I don't even have any estimates for what they are. I think they're both Sony and Microsoft are just kind of playing this out to see who's going to release it first, see if they need to make any changes to it or whatnot, which I don't know. But there's also rumors that Xbox Series X is going to have almost like a mini version, and it's going to cost like $300 or something like that. That's just rumored right now. It's called, what's it called? I don't know. I've tweeted about it before. But so there are
it's Xbox Series lowercase x. It's just a little teeny X.
Xbox Series U. But yeah, essentially, we have to see what the prices are going to be on these things. I imagine PlayStation will probably be a little more expensive because they've kind of earned that right to be.
I gotta say, I don't know. Okay, so if as it stands right now, if you guys are buying next gen consoles, based on what you've seen right now, because it's pretty even, right? They've done the press releases as a creator. Let's think about from a creator's perspective. Which one of these consoles would be the most smart purchase to make? A PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X? When you're creating content, you want to have access to the best games. You want to have access to a system that the most players are going to be on, so that you can get queue times, so that you can play the games, and so that you can, basically create content with the greatest of ease. And you can be a part of the biggest communities that are out there. That's your objective as a creator. Which one are you going for, Perrin?
PS5, easily. I mean, so I just kind of hit it before, but if you're a creator, you likely have at least a semi-decent PC. And so I can play PC titles. And so that means, most titles that would be on Xbox to a degree, I can play on my PC. So the only thing I'm really missing then are all the exclusives from PlayStation. So I'm going to need to make sure I have access to that if I want to do multi-game coverage and I want to be able to be in where all the trends are happening. PS5 is going to continue to have that. right now you see most streamers have a PS4. That's why they have it, so they can stay on top of the trending games. The Last of Us 2 coming out, Ghost of Tsushima recently, like hopping on top of that bandwagon and those trends. That's going to remain the same for PS5 and going into the future. They have that same hold with all of the good titles and the exclusive titles. So if you don't have the PS5, you're at a disadvantage creator-wise, depending on your strategy. But if you're covering multi-games, then yeah, you're at a disadvantage. So you're almost forced to go PS5. And it just works better with a creator setup because you already kind of have access to what Microsoft and Xbox are offering anyway.
Makes sense. Yeah, I've got a PC here. I wanted Xbox Series X to be the stronger competitor. Like I like their marketing. I like the idea of having the more powerful console. I was really excited for Halo Infinite. Now I'm not excited at all. I'm super disappointed. But I'm going to just buy a PlayStation 5 at this point. There's no reason to get an Xbox Series X. It's basically just a crappier version of a PC, and you can get all the games on PC. So I don't know. There's no reason to get it. And if you have Xbox Game Pass, that's one thing as a consumer, not as a creator, where, I think Xbox and Microsoft have a little bit of a leg up on PlayStation. Is Xbox Game Pass is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal service. But if you have a PC, there's no reason to get a Xbox to pick that up. I think PlayStation 5 is your only option as a creator. Just looking at the current generation, just examples. So Star Wars Battlefront 2 was a game that had a pretty large life cycle and a pretty large player base. And there are a number of creators out there that were playing the game and would play viewer matches with people. And I was a part of a lot of these live streams. And if you were playing on PC, your queue times were bad. If you were playing on Xbox, your queue times were really bad. If you're playing on PlayStation 5, instant queue times. Or PlayStation 4, rather, instant queue times. And so if you're trying to do live streams of games that are cross-platform or primarily have a console audience and are these like cross-console games, you can't pick up an Xbox and play those games with your viewers because 70% of your viewers for the next generation probably as well are going to be on PlayStation. And so you're going to be like, hey guys, come hop in here and play with me. I'm on Xbox. And 70% of your viewers are going to go, oh, he's on Xbox. You know what I mean? End of story. There's no, as a creator, you can't pick up an Xbox unless you're going to play one of the exclusives and cover one of the exclusives on your channel. Like, I don't know, I guess Halo Infinite's the only one that could look halfway decent for creators. And, that's going to be a high competition game. What do you think, Ross?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. We've also talked about on this show a few times about how if you're going to stream, the best option to go is multiplayer. And just to be, again, the devil's advocate, because I actually agree with everything you guys said, but for the sake of argument here, I don't see too many multiplayer games on PlayStation. This is more single player elemented. So I think if you're looking to stream, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to go with Halo Infinite. However, you just get it on PC. Let's just be real. Like, just get it on PC.
Okay. Well, it looks like we just crapped all over Xbox today. So, do we have any closing thoughts about the console wars? Is there anything that Xbox can do at this point to catch up? Because as it stands right now, I don't think it's just our opinions. I think what I've seen on the internet, the general opinion of the internet is Xbox is sucking right now in terms of their marketing, and PlayStation is just absolutely crushing them. So what can they do to catch up other than the new Tetris game, which looks phenomenal?
Oh, yes.
The new Tetris game.
The exclusive we all wanted.
The exclusive, I mean, that Tetris game looks pretty sick. Let's be real. But other than Tetris, which I don't think will save Xbox Series X, what can they do? I mean, Perrin, what do you think?
A low price point on the console, man. That's it. I mean, they got to have a low price point, ease to access. Like, if it's the worst one, clearly, marketing, exclusive, and maybe it's best power wise, but that's the only thing they've got going for them. If it's not just marginally cheaper, significantly cheaper than the PS5, then that could help. That could actually really, really help, because at the end of the day, we're talking as longtime gamers, creators, like, we've been in the industry, we follow the business. When you just talk about regular consumers, the decision is super simple. It's just which one's cheaper, and they go for that one. So if we're talking about most gamers, we're talking about the cheapest console. So Xbox could still win if they go the lower price point by a significant amount.
And by a significant amount, you mean like $100.
$100. Yeah.
So basically you're saying in order for Xbox to win, they'll probably have to take a significant loss per unit when they're selling their hardware in hopes that they can make up that revenue later through game sales and through Xbox Game Pass subscription sales and things of that description, right?
Yeah. So I think they would have to take a loss on this financially in the short term to catch up. And I think you could look at it as an investment in the long term. Like it's an investment to catch up in the long term, and then maybe they can be on top and they can make a lot more money by doing this move now. I don't think they're going to be willing to do that though, because they're a company that has investors, and I don't think the investors are going to like that very much. So
yeah, investors don't like long-term decision making. They want decisions that boost the stock right this second.
Results now. Yeah, they're selling it at a cheaper price. That means they're going to make less revenue this Christmas. Stock tanks.
So that's bad. What do you think, Ross? I mean, you follow gaming so closely because of your Twitter account. So what do you think Xbox needs to do to be a real heavy hitter this holiday season and to sell as many consoles as possible, have as many of those under the Christmas tree or under the menorah this year?
Well, the obvious answer is what Perrin said, and that's make sure you have a lower price point. I think there's going to be options, and I think at the end of the day, Xbox will be more affordable, and we know that it's supposedly going to have better specs. So I think those two things will make not a big difference, but I think it'll contribute to Xbox selling just fine. But one thing that they have to do, and by the way, I'm an Xbox gamer. I haven't owned a PlayStation since PlayStation 2, the GOAT, by the way. So when I say this, I'm being completely realistic. They got to do something about their exclusives, man. They got to do something, and they got to do something soon. One of the things that's rumored right now is Microsoft is the #1 contender to buy WB Studios, which means Batman would then become an exclusive game. That's a start, but you got to start tossing out money and start getting other studios in here and coming up with some serious exclusive titles, because it's just not even a competition right now. The PlayStation exclusives are just head over heels better than what Xbox has. I didn't see anything from Halo Infinite, although I'm still excited for it. I'm still going to play it, but I didn't see anything that would say, okay, well, this is going to compete. This is going to hold up its own against the PlayStation exclusives. I don't even know if it's going to hold up total sales against Last of Us Part 2. I don't think it will. So my big things would be, yes, lower price point. 2, start getting better exclusives. And 3, spend money to buy some studios so you can have those better exclusives.
Interesting. For me, I agree with you guys. I think they need to, Xbox Series X needs to be $50 to $100 cheaper. That's one thing they can do in the short term. Sure, longer term, they can acquire companies and get more exclusives. That's not going to happen by this holiday season. Let's be honest.
No, not by that. Well, the WB one may, but they're not going to have any games coming out.
Yeah, the thing is they don't have games, and they can't say if you get Xbox Series X this Christmas, when everybody's deciding what console they want, you can get the new next-gen Batman game. If they were able to say that and some next-gen Batman game was there, well, hold on a second. Now we're talking. And then you have your Batman Xbox Series X with the cool Batman logo on the side. Now Xbox is starting to sell like hotcakes, but they don't have it now.
Well, we don't know that. I agree. There's like a 95% chance that's not going to happen, but there is a rumor that a new Batman game is going to be announced next month at DC's fandom event. And like I said, Microsoft is #1, the top bidder, I believe, to actually buy WB Studios. So I don't know if that, I doubt it would be exclusive, but maybe they could come in with some exclusive DLCs and stuff like that, and then kind of, expand the Batman verse into the future. But for this holiday season, it's no competition.
Interesting. And Izzy's making a great comment here. Apple is doing the same thing because they have hardware sales has a ceiling. So services are more of the future. That makes sense. So perhaps Xbox knows that they are going to undersell hardware. That's fine. But if Xbox Game Pass, which they marketed the crap out of in this game showcase, if Xbox Game Pass has millions and millions and millions of subscribers, that recurring revenue on a monthly basis will compete or exceed the revenue that PlayStation can make by selling these boxes. And Xbox Game Pass, I mean, I sound like I'm sponsored by them. It is the most phenomenal service there is in gaming. Like, for the monthly subscription, the amount of super high quality AAA games you get and just the giant library of games you get for the price each month is the best value in gaming. And so Xbox has that major advantage there. So maybe they only sell 30% of the consoles, but who cares? If you got 10 million people subscribed at $14.99 a month, you're making, how much money is that? $150 million a month. Cool. They're doing great. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Oh yeah, this is the last thing that I think they could do. If Halo Infinite shows their multiplayer gameplay, and it is for some reason phenomenal, then at that point, Halo Infinite could really pull forward. They could really move forward, and they could really sell a lot of consoles. If multiplayer isn't just, hey, here's regular Halo multiplayer, and here's some arenas, and and we have a battle royale mode or some crap. Like, if they can show something that is phenomenal, then that's a whole nother story. But guess what? If they had something phenomenal to show, they would have showed it first. Thank you so much for watching the Digital Drop podcast. Oh yeah, I should play the music. Boom, there it is. Thank you so much for listening to the Digital Drop podcast. I'm sorry, this was your Digital Drop. We're trying to say it different now. What do you guys think? Who cares? Restream.io is our sponsor. We're streaming on Twitch, DLive, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. If you want to stream on every single platform, in case one of them goes out of business, like Microsoft's platform, you should probably be restreaming on everything so that your entire gaming career doesn't just go away like that. Restream.io is your solution. We love them. We use their product. We have for years. Link in our bio and our description to get $10 off your first month, and we get credit if you install and or buy Restream. So please use our link. It supports the show. And if you want to get 25% off Restream.io, use code DROP25, DROP25, no space, DROP25, no space, for 25% off Restream.io. We use it. We recommend it. It's the best thing for live streamers and gaming creators to get maximum growth with your time. Andrew Perrin's been using it, and now he's some kind of internet celebrity.
He's a
Not yet.
megastar.
Don't get ahead of yourselves.
All right, we won't get ahead of ourselves, but he's basically an internet celebrity. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.